I want you to imagine your favorite video game of all time. Depending on how you play video games, this could be an easy answer, or one of the hardest. It's an answer that can give you anything depending on the person. It's something that I've been trying to answer myself since I first played a video game back in 2006. But over the years, I've played some incredible video games that have genuinely changed my life and how I look at video games as a whole. Games like Halo 2, Fallout 3 in New Vegas, Pokemon Fire Red, Dishonored, Guilty Gear, Stardew Valley, and most recently, Ready or Not. But if I had to choose one game that I consider my favorite of all time, one game that has changed my life and how I play and experience video games, that game would be Skate 3. Skate 3 is a masterpiece. On one hand, it's a fun and semi-realistic skateboarding sim set in a skater's paradise of a city named Port Carverton, where you can grind, grab, flip, and really do whatever you set your mind to. But on the other hand, it's a glitchy, broken, unbalanced, and sometimes just straight up insane video game. But that's what makes it special in my eye. Developed by Black Box, a studio that's work consists of NHL video games from 2000 to 2004, as well as some other masterpieces like Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2. So they definitely have some quality to their name, but their big break in my opinion, and the game that would be the first in this 3-game trilogy would be Skate. Skate 1 released in 2007, and it came out in a time where skateboarding games were basically inescapable. Of course, you had the Tony Hawk games, a series that you guys know I'm very familiar with at this point. I've already made a couple videos on them. But you had all these other skateboarding games coming out at the time that ranged from pretty alright to not alright. But with all the skateboarding games coming out at the time, no matter their quality, they all had one thing in common. They were all arcade-like skateboarding games. Rack up high combos, do insane gaps while skating unrealistically, and that's not a bad thing, obviously. The only game that I could even think of that tried a more realistic take on skateboarding was Thrasher Skate and Destroy, and that came out all the way back in 1999 for the PlayStation. At the time, in the mid-2000s, gamers wanted a little something different. They wanted a realistic take on skateboarding to scratch that certain itch, which brings us back to Skate. Skate 1 was all about realism and trying to emulate the experience of an up-and-coming skater making their way up the ranks after getting absolutely demolished by a bus, getting surgery on by Mark Gonzalez, and doing a bunch of 360 flips, using the new and improved flick stick system, which was a drastic overhaul to what skateboarding games used to use at the time, which was just face buttons and then just whatever else they decided to do after that. Skate 2 was more of the same, but added a bunch of new tricks, expanded on the world, and added the ability to get off your board. Personally, I love Skate 2 as a video game, as well as many others do. Not that Skate 1 is bad, but it definitely suffers from first game syndrome, if anything. But you read the title of this video, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm rambling about Skate 1 and 2. Well, Skate 3 released on March 11, 2010, and released in an interesting state. Before the game even came out, there was a demo, and people were already discovering glitches on how to escape the map, as well as whatever the hell this is. But that's all fine and well, most people said, as most of the reviews at the time were very positive when the game came out, and rightfully so in my opinion. Now, what exactly makes Skate 3 my favorite game of all time? Well, in order to explain this, I first need to explain my favorite types of games, which are games that let you solve problems in creative ways. Think of games like Hitman, Dishonored, Fallout New Vegas, and Cruelty Squad. Immersive sims, if you will. Well, Skate 3 can also fall into that category that lets you solve problems in creative ways. Not really more of an immersive sim, but more of an immersive sim-ish game. Yeah. Skateboarding in real life is all about solving a problem, ergo clearing a gap, in a creative way. Well, Skate 3, unlike real life, is a video game. So solving a problem can be done in multiple ways. Ways not thought possible by the human eye. Let's say I want to get on top of Hartley Stadium. There's no official way of getting up there, but remember when I went on that tangent earlier about Skate 3 being very glitchy? Well, and boom, you're on top. Or let's say you don't get near enough speed to clear this gap. Well, and now you're on the mountain. This right here is why I love this game. The glitches, the exploits, the creativity, all these elements combine together to create an unforgettable experience. The glitches in Skate 3 is why I titled this video A Beautiful Disaster, because on one hand, you have the realistic skating with a huge playground to mess around with, and skating in 3 different maps ranging from a university to an industrial area to more of a traditional city map. Yet on the other hand, you have this glitchy and downright insane video game where you can launch, jump, and speed demon your way through any problem. You think with most video games that if it has a ton of glitches, it would be a turnoff for a lot of people, and rightfully so in this modern age, but sometimes the glitches in a video game become the video game, and Skate 3 is a prime example of that. It falls right in between the line of polished video game and this glitchy big rigs-like experience. Think of games like Super Mario 64, Pokemon Red and Blue, and Battle for Bikini Bottom. All very polished games at their core, but the more that players play the game and dig deeper with how they personally experience it, it can cause some unintended effects. To show how insane this game is, here's a spreadsheet showing every known glitch in Skate 3. It's over 250 entries long. That's how passionate this damn community is. From launching yourself into the air to whatever the hell this is, Skate 3 is really just dumb fun for all. But let's say you're not a fan of glitches. Well, you still have this entire game to play with all the base challenges where you can trick however you want and set your mind to. The base game is already deep enough in its mechanics to satisfy any player, especially with the challenges. You want to grind a dozer? Go for it. Want to compete in a skate competition? Hell yeah. Do you want to follow Rob Dyrdek to a location? You really don't, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. And of course, what's a skateboarding game without an incredible soundtrack? I briefly touched on my love for licensed soundtracks in my first YouTube video, which is really bad by the way, please don't watch it. But in that video, I somehow neglected to mention Skate 3, and it's a sin that I'll never let down. So let's do that, shall we? Skate 3's soundtrack is god tier, and you need to listen to it right now. There's something just so magical about the soundtrack. Listening to Going Up the Country while you're chilling around university, listening to Eyes of the Panther while absolutely shredding at a contest, or even just hearing the soundtrack play out as you complete challenges are some of the best experiences I've had while gaming. The game introduced me to what reggae music even was in the first place, with songs like Cool Out Son and especially Lover's Leap by Bim Sherman. Such a wonderful tune that is. Skate 3 has been out for almost 15 years now, and with the new Skate game coming out within the next few years or so, I'm hoping that they can capture that lightning in a bottle that Skate 3 did all those years ago. Well, I'm not expecting this game to be a glitch fest, as at the end of the day, this game was, as I described, a beautiful disaster, but if it can capture the energy of a wonderful semi-simulation skateboarding game, then I'll be a happy man. But until that day comes, I'll still be skating in Port Carverton with the rest of us. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to skate off this ledge and... Oh no, I'm falling!